Hey guys, so I'm back with another video. This one is one that you guys have requested, which is the how do I make my basic swimsuit pattern. So here we're starting with a little bit of seam allowance down at the bottom. This is where the crotch will be, and I just put a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and now I'm marking a 2.5 inch width. This is also on the fold, so everything will be doubled, of course, but since this is folded in half, it's 2.5 inches. Once it's unfolded, it will be 5 inches. Next, I'll be going up. This is the measurement from the crotch area to the belly button or around your waist, however you want it. If you want it high-waisted, you would have that be your length. So I'm doing 11 inches. And that will be the tick mark for the waistline. Okay, so here is an old tank top that I have. And I'm going to use this as the pattern for the top of the swimsuit. And you can use any type of top that you like that fits how you would want the swimsuit to fit. Just to get like an idea. And then I fold it up to the belly button area or the waist. Okay, so now we're going to measure the waist, which is going to be 6.5 inches. That's just personally how I like my waist to be when I make my clothes. My normal measurement for my waist is 29 inches. But I usually just have everything be 26. So once this is unfolded, you'll have the 6.5 times 2 is 13. And then this will just be one, like the front. But of course, once that's doubled by, you have the back and the front, it'll be 26 inches. And then you lose just a little bit with the seam, but barely, and it stretches, so you should be straight anyway. Okay, so then I go 3 inches down from the waist. And then I'm going to mark kind of where my hips will be. And we're going to do 8 inches across, and then that'll be 16 inches. And my hip measurement is 46 inches, so kind of a little bit wide there, a little thick. So now I attach the waist point to the hip point, and now I'll draw in sort of shaped like kind of how panties would be shaped. Also, I like my front and my back to be kind of shaped the same so that it's a little cheeky in the back. But if you want full coverage, I could do another video for that, but you would just attach the point where the hip is and make a curve all the way down to the crotch area for the back cutout. So now we're going to trace the arm opening. Okay, then we'll connect the point where the arm opening starts and the waistline. the shoulder strap will be 2 inches wide. And then, of course, that gets taken in once it gets hemmed. So I'll put the t-shirt back down just so I can find the mark of where the curve ends in the front of the chest. And then I put the mark there, and then I'll connect the shoulder strap down to that mark. So here is the bust measurement. And it's 7.5 inches, so it'll be 15 inches. And then once it's doubled, it'll be 30. So I subtracted 5 inches from my actual bust width, which is 35. Here I'm just showing you that the length of that area from the waist to the crotch was 11 inches. So for the most part, this will be the pattern that I'll use. And then you can use this pattern and then you can deviate from it however you like. If you want your straps to be thinner, if you want it to be high cut, you can increase that length. The 11 inches, you can increase that. Or if you want it to be thong cut, you can cut it smaller in the back. So yeah, this is just the basic something to start off of. So now I'll actually put together a swimsuit and add some cutouts so you guys can see how I add elastic to my cutouts. So I actually only use, when I end up making swimsuits like this, I only use about 1/2 of a yard. Because it really does stretch a lot unless you're a lot wider or you're plus size. Normally 1/2 a yard is pretty good, but you can never go wrong with just doing an actual whole yard and just have some left over. This is my swimsuit lining. Sometimes I use white, sometimes I use black, sometimes I use nude, depending on the front of the swimsuit, the color of the actual swimsuit. So, of course, if the swimsuit is black, I'll use black lining. If it's a white swimsuit, I'll use white lining. But normally I use nude lining. And it's just like a light spandex swimsuit lining. Okay, so here's the elastic. I buy a lot of yards just so that I have it on hand, but it's a 1/2 inch. I lied. It's 3/8 of an inch. Okay, here I'm showing you the right side versus the inside of the fabric. I turn it inside out and put the lining on the front and the back of it. Kind of like a sandwich. So you'll have the lining and then the 2 layers of swimsuit. And now we'll serge all our seams together. The pins will help put everything in place since it's so many layers. So I find it useful. Okay, once everything is serged together, we're going to put the elastic in. I mainly use the elastic around the bottom openings, like where your legs go in. I put elastic there. It just kind of keeps everything in place. So I'll put a pin in the first spot where the elastic will start, and then I kind of stretch it just a little bit along as I go. But not too much, because if you stretch it a lot, it'll bunch up and it'll be super tight around your legs. So you want to just do like a small tug on it as you're going. You can kind of see as the fabric passes through, it looks a little wavy. That's the fabric actually doing a little bit of gathering, which will help the elastic kind of get snug to your body. Oh, also, I'm using a zigzag stitch, and I usually put it to the longest length that it'll go. And on my machine is 4. The number is 4 on there. So I just pull it all the way up there and then just do a zigzag stitch all the way through. Now, when I flip it over, depending on the garment or how I want the actual look to be, like I'll either use a zigzag stitch or a straight stitch. Now, I find it that the straight stitch still stretches when you have the elastic in there, so it is safe to still put a straight stitch in there. But if you're really looking for a more professional ending, you can do a double needle and do the straight stitch with the double needle straight down, and then it'll look kind of like how swimsuits are in the stores. But of course, it's your preference either way. I preferred the zigzag stitch here on the front and the back once I flipped it over. Okay, that was one side, and then I'm going to go do the other side off camera. But you can see how it looks. Oh, one more thing. So when you're doing the finishing side, when you're flipping it over and you're doing that final stitch, you don't want to stretch the fabric out. You want to leave it exactly how it is. Just flip it over and just put the stitch straight down. Don't stretch the fabric with the elastic. Okay, so here's what the basic swimsuit looks like. So it looks exactly like the front and the back is cut exactly the same. Now you can add your own flavor that you would want. Here I'm going to just put some cutouts in the front and the back. Now, of course, this would be much more even and better if you would take it off the mannequin and fold it and cut it properly. But I was just doing this just so you guys could see that you could, take the design even further than just the basic swimsuit. Okay, so here's my cutouts. I've put elastic in the front. I like to put elastic in there just so that the boobs have support and they don't fall down in case someone is a little bit bustier. And you can see the elastic stitching. Keeps it firm and tight together. Now, I didn't put elastic in the back, but I suggest you do, just because it'll keep the hole closed a little bit better. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any other comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment box.